caught that
He is
shit.
the stepchild.
wish I
He is
would've
the
caught that
stepchild.
that nobody wants right now.
I will claim him.
caught that.
I will claim him. I will claim him.
I wish I would have caught that.
In your sake of this is your adoption phase. Like this is your interview to be adopted. Don't come for nobody that ain't sent for you, bro. I could do this all day.
We're starting off very strong. We're starting off very, very strong.
I got some shit for Don this whole podcast. Just peep what I'm on.
What's good, everybody?
Okay.
What's good? Yeah. Episode 10. Okay. We are now in the double digits. We are now in the double digits. Reek, Nasir, you are what, 4?
And very ugly.
But nah, man. D is here. Reek is here. Ion's here. I don't know what Ion's doing. E is here. E is here. Don is here. And Nasir is here. How's everybody feeling, man? What's everybody up to?
Man. Blessed.
Hey, I'm tired of
that. Here. Recovering.
Hey, if y'all watching the video, you know what I'm saying? I walked out of here with a prize last night. So shout out to Nasir's uncle.
What is it? What is it?
Bro, it's an authentic Jordan jersey and this shit signed right here, bro. It's framed and everything. My cousin won that shit at a pool table.
Why you got it?
It's in my house. He's in my house. It's ours. We give it to my dad.
Okay, got you. Oh, that's tough.
He claiming somebody else's stuff.
We give it to my dad though. We give it to my dad because he's like a big Jordan fan. So
that's a great Father's Day gift.
That's a great Father's Day gift. Father's Day is next Sunday.
But yeah, shout out to Nasir's uncle. I don't know if he listens to the pod, but that was a great function.
But so anybody else? How's everybody else feeling? You know.
Good,
everybody else good?
Ready to pod, baby.
Ready to pod? All right.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
So today we are going to start off with pull it back up. Local artist Bigal. We're song niggas know. And then we got our music segment where we're gonna talk about Lil Baby single track. Twitter's been ranting about it for a while. And then Chloe and Haley's Ungodly album.
Come on, man. You and these names
today. Bro, all right, hold on. All right, so wait. Little backstory. I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning today.
That's not even an excuse.
No. I've been driving since 5 o'clock in the morning today.
Don't nobody care.
Okay, all right.
Don't nobody care.
And then after that, we're gonna hop into the interview. We got another former officer come in, and then after
hold on.
Old school player. He an old school.
Decorated.
Police officer.
Decorated former sheriff. Decorated former sheriff.
Get it right,
baby. Love you, baby.
Get it right.
And then after that, we're gonna hop into our culture topic where we're gonna talk about Dave Chappelle's YouTube video. Everybody's thoughts on it. The unbiased rankings. So we're gonna give rankings of our top 5 Black comedians. Who's our favorite Black comedian? And then overrated comedian and underrated comedian. It's gonna be very tough, very, very tough. And then after that, we're gonna close it out with celebrating our 10th episode. So
shots.
So we're gonna hop right into this local artist segment. Bigal, niggas know.
Shots, bro.
There you go.
I'm dope, I got the flow, plus I talk real shit, that's the way I bag your hoe, badger. You be running around with slithering snakes, then you become one. Never catch me ratting the jakes, I'm trying to be great in a city where niggas don't wanna rumble. They pullin' tech or they jump you, so you gotta be safe. I move like Rambo in my jungle, young man humble, but I'm aware that I'm that nigga. Put it right on my plate, say yo, these niggas know how Giuliani took our bodies, threw us right up in the slammer. My OG did the bid out in Rikers and told me smarten up. This ain't what life is about, them cops want you to slip and they lock you up and make you routes. I bomb on a nigga if he test me. The knowledge I possess is way beyond we where my flesh be. And I don't gotta flex, my nigga. My energy speak for itself. And if you hate on a nigga, just know that shit bad for your health. Yo, these niggas know I'm dope. I got the flow. Yo,
all right, bet.
Okay.
How does everybody think about it? What do everybody think about it?
Go ahead, Don. It's your man's, right?
Yeah, man. Y'all over here correcting me and shit.
Yeah, because you call him a Bigal for one. You call him a Bigal.
Bro, his name is spelled Bigal.
That's Bigal.
It's Bigal.
That's a big Al. Come on, bro. 2 syllables. Break it up. Did you not go to school?
All right.
Jesus.
Thank you.
You and your cousin.
Joe was Bigal. He was Bigal. He was Bigal till today.
Wow, that's crazy. But no, get my man.
Hey, no, bro.
All respect,
for sure.
Yeah, all respect,
for sure. All right,
ignore Ty. Ignore
it.
Hold on, wait.
Before we jump in, congratulations to him. He had a song played on the radio.
97.
Serious XM.
Listening to that song, I totally understand. It brings that grit back to hip hop, and Hot 97 is the platform for that. You know, so it's well deserved to be played on a platform of that stature. I enjoyed it. It gave me like mob deep vibes, like way back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of grit. It was a good listen.
But go ahead, dude. Don.
For sure. I mean, me and my dog been rocking for a minute, so this track, like it for him, you know, this is what he is. His sound is. He has a old, like a 90s hip hop feel to him. Like he said, like you hear it in his music. You can tell like his influences, his flow, you know, his wordplay, just that hunger that, you know, he got something to prove. And, you know, I really enjoy this track. Like I enjoy the project, Vintage. This is just one of the songs that we picked off the project. So if you like the song, definitely go check out the project. I personally don't think it would disappoint. It's a dope project for us.
This song definitely made me want to check it out even more.
It's a very, very dope.
It's a dope project.
Go ahead, Reed. What you got for me?
Same thing everybody pretty much has already said. I've been with bro since the start of his music career, for real. I actually was in one of his first videos that he shot out of McDonald's when we were in high school for a mic.
Yeah,
so
right.
watching the
grit.
We just about you flexing a little bit.
Slight flex.
So if you make it big, I was there. But
we was in the McDonald's trapping, baby.
Okay. So, but yeah, so watching his progress has definitely been a great sight to see. Like you said, it's pretty much just a great feel. It gives me such for rap, which is what you kind of want to see for some of us. So, yeah, that's my take.
But go ahead, Nasir. Go ahead.
Make it quick.
Please do.
Make it quick.
You're muted. See,
You're muted.
This is why we got to get him out of here, bro. On like the professional.
Go ahead.
Your
Go ahead.
professionalism
I
is
just
on
muted
zero.
myself. I just muted myself like 10 seconds ago and forgot I did that shit. But yeah, I mean,
What happens when you're not on the
it was
left?
it was alright. The track was
He's the
alright.
orphan child.
It was all right. I mean, all right, that's cool.
All right, that's
Yeah,
it.
that was
Why
alright.
is it just all right?
In
I
your
mean,
personal opinion.
In my personal opinion, you know, I couldn't get a feel for it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You're not
I
gutter
think-
enough. That's all.
Next.
May not be, man, but it's just, you know what I'm saying? I ain't saying it was a bad song, just
It won't your feel.
It won't for you. That's understandable.
But he calls himself Nasty Nas. It's okay. Continue.
Yo. Oh, I think we're gonna have to have an ISO today. So at some point,
Oh, yeah, we see the ISO already.
we see the ISO warming up. I see it. Go ahead, D,
He
what you
already
got
came on here reckless, so
for me?
hey, man.
What you got for me, D?
Nah, I mean, ain't no point in
Pause, by the way.
triple saying what everybody's saying because I agree. You know, it was a good song. Interested to see. I know he had another project that kind of veered away from this.
Yes.
Mona's
So like
original sound, yeah.
the
We're not gonna speak of it.
it's like the sophomore slump type thing. So I'm kind of interested to see how he come back from that second one on his third project whenever it comes.
Oh,
out.
the big album is coming soon. He already kind of gave me a
right,
leeway to
A&R.
kind of push that.
All right.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know how it is. In the
Flexing
game,
around.
you know.
We'll see who the mall is with the group.
Flexing. Go ahead, Ion. What you got for me? And we'll slide into the next topic.
Song. Everybody said what I wanted to say already. Except when I did listen to the song, it reminded me of when I was listening the first time I listened to 1999 by Good Bad. It was sort of like
yes,
like
Tyra Marks.
Sort of like that, like
Right.
waves. It's like his waves, you know, like it's just him showing you like, hey, like I can do core hip hop, like I can do
on off his ability.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a good track. I'm interested to see how it's rolling.
All right, the Lil Baby single track, The Biggest Picture, very, very good, very, very good, very, very good. I definitely I listened to it at first on Spotify, and I heard it. I guess I wasn't really listening to it, but once I watched like the visual with it, it connected a whole lot more for me. I definitely. I wasn't hating. No, I was just. I said. I did not.
In fact, hated.
No.
Yes, you were.
I was not. I said. I don't know why everybody's saying Lil Baby is top 3
right now.
No,
he is.
No, they weren't saying right now. They were saying period. They were saying top 3.
Your timeline ignorant because that was nowhere near my timeline.
That was my timeline. That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying.
On my timeline too, and it was a nigga that definitely said that Lil Baby was the new Lil Wayne, and I said, "Oh, this."
I did see that.
Wasn't that Lamar? Not Lamar.
Yeah, it was one of the Ball brothers.
Yeah, one of the Ball brothers.
Somebody paying them no mind.
Yeah,
only 2 of them matter right now. So
that was dope.
Yeah,
don't care. Oh, yeah, Lonzo Ball. Yeah, it was Lonzo.
Well, he also thinks Drake's the greatest rapper like to ever live. So,
but yeah, so that's what I was saying. So that's why I was getting all my things from. I was like, yo, why is everybody saying this? That's all visual. Yeah. All right, so go ahead, Ion. You started off last. What do you think about the song?
I thought it was a great track. I mean, it just proved what I've been saying for a minute. Pretty much everything leading up to his last album. He the best. He the best right now in the South. In Atlanta, he got Atlanta by the throat. So it's literally like it's one of those things where he has the game in his hand right now, and he can choose to like rock with it or he can drop it. He can fumble it. So I'm on mute. Ain't it? No, I'm not. What y'all?
You good? Oh, we heard you. Now, say what you got. What you?
I just want to like. I just can't give that whole best in Atlanta. There's too many artists in Atlanta that's doing their thing when you think about it. You got Future, you got Black. Those are names that are just always gonna be relevant and always
put out good music. Black, but they're not dropping shit like Baby dropping shit right now. I'm sorry, like I'm not one of those ones. I'm not one of those ones that's gonna say that. But if you think Future album was hanging with Baby album, you slow.
Don't get me wrong. Lil Baby can spit. Like that's just point blank. Like and this song and the song that he just dropped was like everything to me, honestly. It's like the content, like that's what I've been wanting to hear from niggas for the longest. And Lil Baby came with the shit. Like that shit was just fire.
I will be honest, I didn't think I was gonna hear anything from Lil Baby of that, you know what I'm saying?
No, magnitude, I mean you get glimpses of it. You get glimpses of it in some of his other songs, bro. Like, but it's not. It never got to this point where he was the whole song was about it.
Not to that substance. Lil Baby gave you substance from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's
bars.
That's why I said
like he came on the track. He came correct.
Oh, and I ain't gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that Baby the new Lil Wayne, but Wayne did say Baby his favorite artist right now. So
that is very true.
He in fact did.
That's
Wayne also didn't know what TDE is, so we can.
He also thought
we can move on.
But it's still Wayne.
We can move on. He didn't know what TDE was.
But it's still Wayne.
He thought 21 Savage was a group. But he knew who the artists were on TDE.
He didn't know what.
That's all.
He thought 21 Savage was a group.
Whatever.
That's all that matters.
Man, this we're not gonna turn this to a Wayne bash.
Yeah,
I love Wayne. I love Wayne.
E, what you got? Well, you already said something. Go ahead, D. What you got? What you got about the song?
It was a good song. I mean, I get it. But see, here's my problem. We're so critical when other people kind of use this situation to better themselves, but now we're bigging up somebody because we like him. Mind you, it was great content because I listen and I what I've learned to do with these type of rappers, because I don't listen to Lil Baby. When I'm listening to a track, I'll I'll go back and I'll read the lyrics as he's going through, so I can really catch what he's saying. Yeah. So the content was amazing, and what he was talking about was great. But what's the difference in what he's doing than anybody else?
All right, so my problem with, you know, when all this situation first started happening, remember that first video that came out of dude
trash, garbage.
It's not even the fact that it was trash; it was just done in bad taste. You doing a video?
No, that shit was trash.
It was trash.
You're resembling what happened to George Floyd for one, and for two, you're bashing everyone that was like basically the bystanders. You're basically lashing out at the same people that you say you're trying to protect or you want to see us do better. That's why I hated that shit. Nick Cannon, I didn't bash that one because Nick Cannon has been a part of the movement for years.
For sure.
Yeah, Nick Cannon be doing this stuff thizzle.
He's done the work. So Nick Cannon, his whole thing was fine.
He's just he's kind of sort of a comedian. So when you look at it, you can't look at it in a serious like
what's his name?
Type
something
thing.
Like that too, though.
King Back.
The boxer. That shit just slipped my fucking.
Don't bring up King Backs.
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder did some shit. And that shit was fire.
So I just think it's interesting how people pick and choose what's okay and what's not okay because they like.
I never
somebody.
say it's like me, okay. I understand that, but like me, with my whole thing, I never said it was like not okay to express. I mean, like Lil Baby, you could tell he really felt those things in that song.
Yeah. I guess
a lot of these people like songs that's coming out. You could tell they really.
I guess.
Not really.
I don't know him. I don't know. I can't attest to what bruh felt and what he didn't. I know the content. The content was good. The content was good.
But for him, because, you know, people are always going to come out and say, well, you rap about drugs and killing and da-da.
He did acknowledge it.
Like, look, I'm not the best.
He definitely acknowledged it in the song, for sure.
For him to say that in the song and put like, hey, man, look, I'm not the most, you know, political dude out there. And, like, I don't
No. Like I said, the content was amazing. Like, it was great. It was timing. I just think
timing is everything. Timing is everything.
Exactly. He let it breathe.
Timing is everything.
Yeah,
he let it breathe, and then he came out with this. So I'm
really. But you know, have you seen these pictures of Future doing? He's done his photo shoot. He was on top of a police car. I think he's about to put out his little activism track, and I hope.
I don't want to hear shit from Future right now.
Wait, I didn't want a baby activist.
Time out.
I didn't expect it.
But how Baby approached the situation and how he came on the track, then it made everything okay. Like it made it okay for what he did.
You know what I love most? He stayed himself. Like he didn't change.
Yes, he didn't try to change
the beat. He didn't try to make a slower beat. He didn't try to get nobody to do a falsetto on the beat or nothing. He just stayed like, look, I'm gonna say.
He said, "This is a Lil Baby track. This is what I want to talk about," and he delivered it. And he delivered it how Lil Baby would,
bar for bar.
And he made a really good track. Can't take that away from him. He made a really good track.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're skipping Chloe and Halle.
Yeah, we can come back. We'll double back.
Yeah, we'll do them next week.
Yeah,
their Disney album.
We gonna talk.
All right.
It was
right, so
got my number.
Y'all not about to carry that album like it
me and you. We gonna talk.
You got my number.
We gonna talk.
All right.
My address.
All right, so now we gonna hop into the.
I don't care.
The interview.
Smoke, Jody.
We're hopping into this interview. Oh snap! Where'd it go? Okay.
Make sure you unmute him.
Yeah. Got him. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Mr. Freeman?
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon. Welcome. All right, so today we have with us Mr. Freeman, who is a decorated retired police chief. Go ahead and get that off. You know, hometown guy from Hagerstown. Went to the University of Tennessee, played football there, played wide receiver. Spent 11 years with the Hagerstown Police Force. Then after that, he spent 11 years with the Frederick, Maryland Police Force. And he's a current teacher at the South Hagerstown High School. So, how are you, sir? First off, how are you? How are you feeling about like everything that's going on in the world?
Well, I'd say probably the last 3 months or so, you know, we you know, our country, you know, our communities have really dealt with a lot, you know, with the pandemic and then with the police issues. So it's been a lot for everybody. Unfortunately, it takes for these kind of things to happen before real change comes about. So, I'm just hoping, I'm optimistic and hopeful that the necessary changes are going to take place and we can all move forward as a society.
Okay. So we're going to hop right into the questions. So for me, I would say my first question from the educational standpoint, what would you say is needed right now, in a sense, like on both sides, for like as a African-American male and on the police side? What do you think is needed for the educational side for both sides?
I think most importantly, develop relationships with students. It's not as much important to bring up the fact that I'm African-American because those kids can see that. So just communicating with those kids and giving them the facts. I think that's real important. And with kids or young people these days, they want the truth. They don't want any sugar-coated version of a story. If we, decide to do a case study on Baltimore, Maryland riots of 2015, we're going to dive into it. We look at demographics. We look at a lot of factual information. And, I'm going to test their critical thinking abilities. So instead of, brainwashing them, I want them to learn to research facts and to develop their own opinions. And I think that's the key to our young people these days. Give them that tool that they're educated enough to research topics and develop their own opinions.
Sir. Go ahead, D.
Oh, I'm up next. Awesome. I want you to kind of expound on your personal reason for becoming a police officer. Going from Tennessee, playing ball, coming back home, what was your motivation? What was your drive to be a part of the community? And how important do you think that is nowadays for people to come back and give back to their community as far as being police officers?
That's a good question. I came back home. Obviously, I didn't make the NFL, so I had to come home. I was a father at 23, 24 years old. So I definitely was looking for a career. I did notice some changes in the community. I noticed a lot of, the crime rates were higher. And just talking with a lot of the citizens in my community, they were very frustrated to see the crack cocaine era come in and infiltrate the areas, and just other types of crimes, property crimes, just, crime rates really started to skyrocket. So instead of, being one of those people just to complain about the problems, I wanted to be part of the solution. And I knew at the time there weren't any Black police officers, within the department. Actually, I'm sorry, there were two. So there were two. So I just felt like we needed more. So, and I knew when obviously I went through the process and, was hired, went through the academy, through field training. And it was just important to me I wanted to be that person for the community that they could trust. If they called the police and they wanted an officer to respond and they saw, oh, that was Dwayne, that's little runny-nosed Dwayne that used to run around. Now he's and that made me feel good because I knew that they trusted me, that when I showed up and they said, hey, we're having this problem or this problem, they knew that I was going to give them a quality service, and I was proud of doing that. So, and these days, that's what it takes to answer the second part of your question. It takes for people from communities, not to say that you guys couldn't come to this community and work. It would probably be a little different environment for you. It'd be a little culture shock. Depending on, but being in a town, Western Maryland, there's some things we need to improve upon, but there's been some changes. But, I think it takes for local guys to want to be part of that change. And it's a hard job right now because people don't like police, but for me, every day when I left home, it was my number one job to prove to the community every day that I was there for them and I was going to do the best job possible. So, and it takes that. It takes for some local hometown guys to want to step up, to come in do the best job that you can for your community, proudly serve your community, confront negativity. I didn't really witness any kind of, unnecessary use of force or, I didn't hear, racial slurs. They knew not to say it around me. Obviously being a former football player, I probably, just my appearance might have been intimidating to some people, but they have no idea being in a huddle with big linemen. That's a little bit different story. But but I really didn't have those kind of issues. If anything, it would be behind my back. But it just takes more representation. I think once you have more people doing the job, and are there going to be use of force issues? Absolutely. So there is a need for reform, but I don't want to answer questions that someone else may have coming up. But it's important. It's just important to have more representation in the community. That's part of the problem. And a lot of these jobs, like police jobs, teaching jobs, we need to have more representation, because those kids, I'm telling you, when kids and other people, when they see someone that looks like them in a position, and I don't really want to call it a position of authority, but obviously you're in a leadership position where you have an influence. You can influence people. And I think there just needs to be more representation of that. Hopefully that answers your question, sir.
Go ahead. Don, go ahead.
All right. So for my question, have you personally, within your tenure as a sheriff and an officer, have you dealt with systematic racism as far as within the police force regarding possible promotions or anybody getting a role that you felt or you knew that you were qualified for that you did not receive because that you were a black man, or anything of that nature or magnitude?
Absolutely. I feel like, and I will say that, with the Frederick County, Maryland Sheriff's Office, it was a wonderful place to work. Actually, both agencies, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to do the job, as far as law enforcement, police services. But unfortunately, there was a particular situation that I did feel that, I was next on the list to be promoted to sergeant. And for some reason, the list expired and the time frame, expired. So therefore, but at that time, I was a field training officer. I worked on the street crimes unit. I was also called to go in and resolve some community issues. So at that point, I felt like that I was already serving as a leader. But yet there was one particular situation that I feel that I was passed over. Not to get into too many details, since, my identity's out there and, all my.
Of course, we understand.
For sure.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I do want to be honest with you to let you know that I as an African-American male, I do feel that, that happened to me at least once.
Okay. So then what did you do when that happened?
I resigned, and actually I didn't resign. I transferred my service to another agency. So I left. So just kind of make a long story short, I did start in my hometown, and then the last half of my career, I did, I left that agency and I went to, the neighboring county, which I think Frederick County, it's just a couple counties away from Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. So a little more progressive. So it was better opportunities for me. So that's why I left. And like I said, I'm not going to.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. You're perfectly fine.
I still live here.
No, we understand. Sure. We understand. D's over here double dipping and stuff. So
my bad.
You have every right to do so.
Go ahead, I am.
Okay. Only question I really have is, what made you accept D as your son-in-law? It was a horrible decision.
Disrespectful.
Well, some of the things, we a lot of people are into playing certain roles, So, I guess D, he was trying to play that goody role. Hopefully in the future, you guys can give me a little more information. He's going to take off his sheep mask and I can see the wolf.
Nah, he's a great guy.
Oh, yeah, he's calling you out for sure. He sees through it all.
But on a serious note, I know you were talking about how there needs to be more representation, and especially with our generation, handing our generation facts and being able to read those facts and come up with our own opinion on situations. But I think a lot of the times, our generation reacts off of emotion, because I will say that we are a very emotional generation. We're very in tune with our emotions. So the moment we feel something, we tend to react. As an officer who's had to possibly deal with situations that may have caused you fear or anger or any of that, where you could have overreacted and things could have went very south, how did you deal with those things? How did you process those emotions in those times?
That's a very, very good question. Honestly, sometimes I don't really know how I did. Maybe it was God, maybe it was somebody looking over me to make sure that I was always making good decisions, even if I was angry as I don't know what, whether it be someone that, assaulted their girlfriend to the point where the injuries just, they deserve to get a little more than what I was able to do. Obviously you're going to go through certain thoughts and feelings, but I just feel like when you have that mindset that you're a servant for your community, and these days, there's always phones and cameras around recording. Probably in the mid 90s, you didn't really see as much of that, but there's always people watching. Even if there's nobody watching, somebody's watching. So, I always thought if I was in a dark alley at 3 o'clock in the morning, someone was always watching what I did. So I took pride in that and to make sure that I continue to make good decisions, even out of anger. And that's a very good point that you brought up. There will be situations and things that try us, but through that, you want to make sure that you contain your anger and you continue to seek the truth and seek facts before you truly develop your opinion on things, and I know it's hard to do. It is. And I think as you get older, you get wiser, you've been around the block a few times, and you learn how to process that information a little bit better. So, but just the fact that you're asking that question leads me to believe that you're already aware that this is an issue. So that's a very good question.
Sir, thank you. Go ahead, Nasir.
Okay. My question is basically on the whole defunding the police. And I kind of just want to get your thoughts on that. Do you believe it is necessary? Do you believe it's not necessary? And what is your reasonings behind it?
Good question. Very good question. I don't think you defund the police. If anything, you need, you want police to have cameras. You want the cam recorders in the cars. Those officers need better training for use of force, defensive tactics, as far as stressful events, because there's a lot of times it's very important. A lot of people don't understand when you have a split second to make a decision that could take life or save your own, you need to be trained properly to make those sound decisions. So there needs to be more money spent on this. And that maybe not more money, but maybe you don't take away from their funds, especially the training funds, because officers need to be trained better. Whether you use your taser, whether you use your pepper spray, whether you use your baton, and and ultimately the goal is to use the proper amount of force to achieve lawful objectives. So anything else is unreasonable. So I know I've had very good training, in this part of the country. So other parts of the country, they're in desperate need of those training, scenarios. So that's why you don't defund the police. Now, and some people think that, it's the police's job to solve all problems of the world, and it's not really the police's job. I feel like it's the community's job to solve a lot of issues. You know, more community people stepping up. You know, you don't have to be a police officer. You know, you can volunteer your time. You can be a mentor to a lot of young people. But not to get off topic, but I definitely don't think that you should defund the police. You need to continue to help them grow. They need to be more, you know, culturally diverse, you know, depending on what neighborhood you work in, and you need to get to know those people. So there needs to be more, some people, they need to be trained on that. Some people can go into different situations and deal with, you know, any kind of race, and some people cannot. So there needs to be training for that, unfortunately. But definitely the use of force, you don't defund the police for that reason. There needs to be more training, and they need to be better trained to handle certain situations. Hopefully it will avoid these deadly incidents. And I hope that answered your question for you.
Yeah, with you saying the training, do you believe that there should be more of a requirement before even going through that training to become an officer? Like, I feel like the requirements are not as lengthy as it is for other situations.
It depends on state to state. Some states require more training than others. And I know with Maryland, there are hours of training, in-service training hours that you have to complete each year. So that's probably why you don't hear a whole lot of your excessive force complaints from Maryland, because the training standards are pretty lengthy and detailed. So and that's why I believe that, you know, this training is needed. You know, places like Minnesota, I'm not sure what their training, how many hours of in-service training that they're required to complete each year. But that's something that they need to look at. Maybe the Fraternal Order of Police and some other agencies can come in and just do a total review of that agency, and some others look at some of these excessive or use of force reports, you know, look at those reports and determine if there is a problem and if there's a need for some kind of reform or additional training. And what we see, you know, obviously there's departments that are in need of, you know, that training. So I'm actually I'm a defensive tactics instructor and expandable baton. So if you guys know anybody that need trainers to come in, you know, field train, all right. So they're gonna kill me because I'm about to double dip. Quick question. So this is like a yes. Double dip. my bad. Because I had it in my head. So do you think that you should have a college degree to become a police officer? Because I know that's been one of those things that you know, been circling around. I know like Finland, Germany, and stuff like that. You have to spend a certain amount of years in like a higher education to learn, like, you know, psychology and stuff like that.
At least a criminal justice major.
Yeah, like something like that. Do you believe that like police officers should have to go through college and have a degree to become a police officer, or do you think that the system that we have in place now is okay? Like, or just adding more training towards it?
Well, it's you know, I like your question, but I don't think you need, coming in and learning the job, I don't think you have to have a degree. Okay. Now, is it beneficial for you? Yes, because with the information technology and with the grammatical script skills, and to be able to, you know, be a police officer, you have to write really well. You know, you have to give accurate reports. But I think certain street knowledge is just as beneficial to the job, because a college degree is not going to teach you how to go into a neighborhood and talk to people that, you know, that feel oppressed, that feel like everybody's against them. You know, hopefully, you know, with some of the educational standards, that they can add certain parts of that job to the curriculum. But right now, I don't think we're there. So I think it is beneficial to have a degree, but it's not necessarily required, because you're going to learn a lot of things on the job. And then while you're in the academy, I think you actually get an A degree while you're in the academy, or you at least get so many hours because of the training. So you are being educated when you're in the academy. Okay. Certain street knowledge, you know, you can't get that. You know what I mean? You got to get out the car and you got to go and talk to people.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion.
All right, we got 2 more questions for you. Go ahead, Reed.
So,
my bad.
You good, bro. You pretty much spoke on it's pretty much that is very important with training. So I guess you can say for certain, it depends in certain areas how well the training is, and it can show. But do you feel more so that it's the training or just the individual themselves that, you know, have situations happen, or how things are escalated, or how things turn out the way that they do? And if that's the case, do you feel that, you know, different departments should do a better job of selecting who they put within their divisions?
That's very good. It sounds like you pretty much asked the question and then answered it. So, and I totally agree with that. Some of it is training. Some of it is, you know, just different people that, you know, whether they lie in their backgrounds, and, you know, because you have to do an extensive psychological background investigation. And, you know, I don't know, some people will lie that maybe they don't like certain groups of people, whether they do or don't, I don't know. But obviously you're seeing that, you know, certain aggression, and, you know, that shouldn't happen. So some of it is, you know, just individuals, and maybe, you know, and that could be part of the reform of coming out, you know, developing better ways to, you know, identify potentially dangerous candidates that probably wouldn't be suited for the job. So that's what my opinion is on that.
Perfect. Go ahead, wrap it up.
All right. So first of all, I want to say thank you for being here. I'm the last one, so, you know, gotta make sure that you know that we really appreciate you being here with us. My question to you is, why, as an officer that's been in those shoes, do you think the consequences are different from a police officer to a civilian when something is morally done wrong? And when I say that, I mean, as you just see, murder has been in the police officer. It's been there. Difference is it's always been there, but we're seeing it on camera nowadays. So it's in our face every day. But cops are not given the same consequences as a civilian. Why do you think it's different?
Well, originally, you know, the police should be someone of public trust. You know, if it came down to the police officer's word against a potentially dangerous person, that police officer's word should be more. But obviously, we don't live in these times anymore. So, you know, and that's the reason for the reform that's needed. You know, we need to go back and look at a lot of these policies and laws, and we need to level the playing field a little bit. And it's unfortunate that some police that spend 20 plus years, you know, doing nothing but good things for their community, has never shot anyone, and now, you know, people feel like they're under the microscope and they have to prove themselves all over again. It's unfortunate that that's happening, but obviously it's necessary. So there definitely, there's a need for change. So, and that's a very good question. So, you know, hopefully, and I really feel that these changes are coming. So, you know.
Sir. Well, that's all from us.
Anybody else want to double dip? There's been a lot of double dipping.
I mean, we did have a lot of
We got time. We got time. Anybody got a follow up?
Anybody got another question?
I got something. So I recently, just yesterday, saw Black and Blue for the first time. Yes, I know I'm really, really late. Have you seen the movie yourself first?
No, lately. No, it you know, right now is a time, and I've talked to family members about this. It's, you know, it's really a sad time, you know, where, you know, I just, you know, with the cop shows and some other things, you know, I really, it's disturbing to watch. You know, these videos, it really is, where I just try to focus on other things. I've tried to focus on being a teacher, but obviously you can't completely avoid it and dodge it because you keep seeing it every day.
Yeah.
But no, here lately, some of those movies, I just kind of, you know, I felt like I kind of needed a break from that.
I definitely.
But definitely it's something that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. What were you about to say?
Well, I definitely would be interested in watching that. I mean, looking at the previews, it seemed like that it would be a good movie to watch. But here lately, man, it's just been a downtime for everybody, being a Black man, and, you know, on the other end, being a police officer that does your job. And, you know, other people are just like, you know, it's almost, you know, there's similarities with being Black and being a police officer, you know, where you feel like that no matter what you do, there's always negativity coming at you or people looking at you. So but I mean, there's many differences, but you know, being in both shoes, you can kind of feel a little bit of that similarity where people just don't like you. You know, going in the room and you're the only person there. You know, you may come in there, you're the only person of color. I don't know if you guys have experienced that.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
VMI. That's the definition of VMI.
Yeah,
but
so
I actually
in the room and no one talks. You know, they just look at you, and then you see somebody come in behind you, and hey, how you doing? And then you thinking, so I really understand that. So you know, I'm hopeful that we can get some reform, we can get some unity. We're seeing a better police service on the streets that really want to serve their communities and you know, using the least amount of force as necessary. But sometimes there is a need for force, but you know, there should be there's a level of force that you use for each situation. So we just need to be better at that.
And that's kind of pretty much like, that was the ending of the movie without telling it in general. You know, they had a situation where it was a dirty cop. I mean, we've all seen movies or seen shows where they're dirty cops within each other. And she pretty much got put in a predicament where she was, you know, trying to be a good person and be a good Samaritan for a fellow officer. And she ended up getting put in a situation that, you know, she shouldn't have been in, but she wants the right thing to happen. You know, she wants to take it the right way. And pretty much, you know, the guy at the end was just like, you know, you're not going to change anything with this. And she was just like, no, but it's a start. And that's kind of, you know, it kind of hit me at a time like this after watching that movie today, where it's like, not all cops are going to be, you know, evil. Not all cops are bad, but it's just so hard to be able to tell the difference nowadays with what you're dealing with or what you're going through, whether they may be black, whether they may be white, or whatever, you know, whatever race they may be in general. It's just so difficult. So I guess with following that is, have you ever been in a position, you know, where you, I guess without going too personal, had a situation where you had to kind of speak on something that you know had other officers or other coworkers in a predicament that it's just like, I don't know about this one, or I don't know.
So I had the same question basically. So I kind of sort of like, have you ever been in a situation where you had to, like, you know, have the closed door conversation of like, you know, checking the officer in question about a situation that happened, and how did that conversation go?
Absolutely. There were several times. Now, there was nothing that happened in my presence, because I'm pretty sure that people knowing me that I would have confronted. I would have said something right away, because I'm not getting, I don't want to be sued because of something you did. So I never witnessed any of that nature, but you know, there were times that people would come to me and tell me, you know, stories of certain kinds of misconduct, and I would report it to Internal Affairs. The head lieutenant at the time, I won't say his name, but you know, he was one of my field training officers, and he was white, and you know, I thought he did a good job with my training. You know, he was one of the people that told me, you know, you're going to make a big impact in your community. That's why you need to spend more time on foot. Get out of your car, go and talk to the people. So I felt that I could go and tell him about some of the issues. So I did that. I know that there were certain repercussions, that there was some kind of discipline, but you know, they never came back to tell me what the discipline was. Gotcha. So, and not that I wanted to be considered a rat or a snitch, but you know, just some things can't be tolerated, because I think everybody gets that stereotype, you know, from certain bad, you know, actions.
All right, one more. I'm gonna wrap it up with this last question.
Hold on, I got some.
Go ahead.
Speaking kind of to piggyback off of what Reek was talking about earlier, do you, as a black man and as an officer, were you ever in a position where you had to compromise either or for a certain situation like that may require you to?
Not really. Every decision that I made was based on the fact that I was a police officer. Being African-American, in certain situations, it either gave me an advantage or a disadvantage. And the times that it was a disadvantage is where I just had to to have respect for other people and treat them the way I expect to be treated. Whether they looked at me like they didn't think that I was a cop because of my skin color, but I never really had to compromise my job or, you know, as far as my culture because of my job. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, there have been times in the community where, you know, people may have been upset with me because I did my job. You know, if a crime was committed and I, you know, had to do my job, and they may have been mad at me about that, but I guarantee you those people would say, at least he was fair. He did his job, and I've even talked to people later on that I knew they were mad at me at the time, and then they came back and said, Freeman, you know, I appreciate, you know, you were respectable and, you know, you did your job and you were fair. So, you know, because some dudes will hold a grudge for like years. I'm like, come on, man. You was like, I was like 25 years old. Like, look how old we are now. And then they start laughing. But, you know, you treat people with respect and you do your job because that's what you take the oath for and that's what your community expects of you. So for me, that was easy. But, you know, it did bother me sometimes when people, you know, didn't really understand my job and what I had to do. But, you know, once you take that oath, you have to do your job. And sometimes it's not so popular, but it don't mean that, you know, you go around beating up people and, you know, that's not really what you should be doing. Now, sometimes you might deal with some violent people and you might have to step up your game a little bit. But, you know, even them at the end of the day, hey, Freeman, man, you know, I'm sorry. Hey, man, I'm sorry. And things got a little rough, but we're good. Everybody goes home and you're not playing somebody's funeral. So that's just a whole new level of force. And I'm just glad that I didn't have to, you know, to experience that.
Well, we definitely appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Seriously, it was definitely very insightful. Anybody else got anything?
I wish we had more time, but you know.
Yeah, honestly,
definitely wish we had more time.
Honestly.
Hey, this was my first podcast, and I had a lot of fun with you guys. So if you want to have me back later, man, I would love to. You know, if you want to discuss certain topics or, you know, whatever, if you just want to talk about sports.
Yeah,
you know,
just
I would love to come back. So I had a good time. Hopefully I was productive.
Yeah, quick question, just to segue us into it. Have you seen the new Dave Chappelle thing on YouTube? The 846,
Chappelle?
The new Dave Chappelle thing that came out 2 days ago?
Absolutely. Chappelle,
what do you think of it?
Chappelle, he seemed a little angry, didn't he?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
And I tell you what, if there's somebody, and a lot of people, you know, recognize him as the most intellectual comedian, and, you know, you watch his shows, he's a smart guy.
Yes.
You know, he's very much aware of the history of this country, African-American people. So, you know, when he has an opinion about something, you know, I'm going to listen. So, you know, obviously he felt, you know, I guess some people he felt called him out that he should be, you know, and some of us do that to others where we feel like, well, you know, he should be speaking more. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like some people, they can go through every day and their voice is their actions. When they get up every morning and how they serve their community, that's their voice. So I guess somebody angered, you know, we know it was the one CNN reporter.
Yep.
So, you know, he called the guy out. And then at the next day, the guy was like, well, I like Dave Chappelle and he's one of my favorite comedians. So, you know, Chappelle's going to tell it like it is. You know, he's an extremely intelligent man. And, you know, I'm impressed with his stand. You know, and, you know, coming from him, you know, he's very, very intelligent and he has very good reasonable points of view.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir. We greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me and let me know. I'll be glad to come back again. It was a lot of
fun. Of course. Thank you.
I owe you some beers next time we up in Maryland.
Hey.
You know how we do.
You know how we do.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you guys have a good one. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks,
sir. Now I'm running back. All right, so now we're moving into our culture topic. So now we're talking about the Dave Chappelle YouTube video. Everybody's thoughts.
He ain't say nothing wrong.
He definitely didn't say anything.
He ain't say nothing wrong.
Didn't say anything wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Like, one, using your platform as a comedian, as a well-known, world-renowned comedian at that. to use your time of you doing a comedy show to talk about this. And I want to say he was in South Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say he was in.
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he was in South. He was in. I think he was in one of the Carolinas.
He was at a ranch. He was at his ranch in Ohio, I think.
Yeah, obviously he was in Ohio because he was talking about the incident that happened. The dude got shot.
Yes.
And
okay,
it was the same night that Kobe dropped 60.
Oh, he referenced something that happened in South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
But dude, come on now, like it gets no better than that. Like in the simple fact that he went at Don Lemon head on because, which I don't think it is right. Like he said in the thing, bro, why do I need to say something as a famous person when people in the streets right now protesting? That's what they do. Like why do I need to say anything because I'm Dave Chappelle? Because I'm Dave Chappelle, I have to say something.
No.
So it's like, all right, bet.
That has to cease. I feel like that whole because you're a celebrity and you're in a higher power than everyone else, that you have to say something. I don't give a fuck what Drake has to say. I don't give a damn what. I mean, Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle. He didn't have to say anything.
And it'll be okay.
I know where he stands.
Yes.
Just for some context for the audience, Dave Chappelle dropped something on Friday called
846.
846. And of course, 846 is how long they had their knee on George Floyd's neck. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Very powerful. If you want to go watch it, it's only 29 minutes long. Very powerful.
Very, very quick watch.
27.
It's like 27.
Very, very quick watch. Very good. I think the audience was very surprised because they were coming for
they was ready
show.
for. And he still,
we're ready to see jokes. I like how he stopped in the middle of it. I like how he stopped in the middle of it. Oh, y'all bored? Are y'all bored?
Yeah, but he still gave you comic relief though.
Sure.
Or he would have said, "I'm sorry, I don't care."
I don't care at all. Like, I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and y'all can bounce if y'all want, or y'all can stay and hear what I gotta say.
For sure.
I've always, I'm a very, 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 very big Dave Chappelle fan, and I watched it from the beginning. This is nothing new for Dave Chappelle, in my honest opinion. He's been doing this for years. He's been bringing up topics like this for years, whether you liked it or not. I'll never forget one of the first ones I really kind of paid attention to was when, he was speaking on Black people and being on a plane. And he said he'll never forget. I don't know, now this was a joke, of course, but he was speaking on, a guy who was trying to rob a plane. And he said there was only one other guy that was on the plane. And he looked at him and he said the other Black guy didn't do nothing. He didn't say nothing. All he did was this. And he said, because they came to agreement that terrorists they're not going to kidnap Black people. He said, because we have no reason to get kidnapped. But it's just the simple fact that him using his platform, and I can see and hear the emotion in it every time. And the emotion that he put into this the 27 minutes that he talked,
felt it all.
It was different than the rest of it.
Every word, every sentence.
And
felt it all.
I felt every single thing that he was saying, every bit of the emotion that he was saying, from when he said that Kobe passing away with August 24th being his birthday, and that's the reason, he didn't go pick up his Grammy because that was the same day.
Him being born at 8:46 a.m.
Like it was crazy. It was and all the connections that he brought to it. I was driving, so I missed the end connection when he was talking about his great grandfather. I missed it. I have to go back and run it back. But he says like his great grandfather was an important piece of something. But I couldn't really catch on to it. Anybody catch it? Like anybody?
South Carolina Black delegate.
Yeah.
His great grandfather was the head of the South Carolina Black delegate that went to Washington to meet with the president after a man was lynched in South Carolina over $30, and he was lynched because
he was a rich man.
Mm-hmm. He was wealthier than the mob who lynched him. So, like, who are you to be richer than that?
Because you Black. That's it.
Ion, since you're talking, what you got? How you feel about it?
Not surprised. Dave Chappelle is brilliant. He's a Mark Twain recipient. At his age, at 42 years old, that should tell you all you need to know.
He's only 42.
He's a comedic genius. He is the true definition of comedic genius. because even in the midst of such a heavy and emotional 27 minutes, he still broke it up with something to laugh at. You know, when he says, it's like, yeah, this isn't funny. I got some pussy jokes, bro. It's like, I got some pussy jokes.
I got some pussy jokes. You don't want to hear that.
Just one of the guys will just stay on go, man. But, I think it was really powerful. And how we put into context how that 8 minutes and 46 seconds, man, is a very important detail in the case that I don't think gets enough play. And I think he knew that, which is why he named his special 8 minutes and 46 seconds, because he said that the moment of time that he felt fear during that earthquake in 1993 was 35 seconds. He said it was 35 seconds.
That's crazy.
He said
fear
for 8 minutes and 46. So for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, George Floyd, he said he knew he was going to die. He was like, he knew it. Like, he saw that. He was like, that, like I said in the earlier part, man, it's hard to hear a grown man cry out like that. That's a different
bro.
It's a different type of pain.
That's as black men, we know how we were raised to be. Show very few signs of weakness because the world is out to take advantage of everyone. And that's just a survival tactic that our parents taught us. But when when you strip a black man of that, and he is, begging for his life at a point, it's as a black man, that's the hardest thing that you probably ever have to hear. I don't really think it gets heavier than that. With someone unrelated to you,
Yeah, at that.
But I think in a way, George Floyd I don't think it was a chosen thing. I don't think that anyone's championing anything he does, like Dave Chappelle said. I don't think anyone was championing anything he was doing before the man. It's just he was the one that pushed the rock over the edge. He was the one. I think he did a great job. I think it solidified who he is as a comedian, as a man, which he's done time and time before. It's just we talk about comedians in a light. We talk about what we're going to have a conversation about comedians here soon. I just think that when we have that conversation years down the road, when we have children and a family and we talk about Dave Chappelle, people are going to talk about Dave Chappelle in a different light.
For sure.
Just as big of an impact as his grandfather made on the South Carolina Black Delegate. His father's made an education. His mother's made an education. He's taken their ceiling and went straight to the moon with it.
Like, surpassed it. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think, like I said, when it's all said and done and Dave Chappelle's name is mentioned, it's going to be mentioned with some.
Oh my gosh, it's about to be ridiculous.
I don't think there's any other comedian that could have
done this.
No. Like, am I honest? This is me personally. To be able to know that he's going
alive.
Alive.
Comedian alive.
Like something like this and be able to. I mean, D looking like I got another.
Hey.
With me having confidence with it and knowing that this is going to be okay. Like if I see at this time period with everything that's going on that Dave Chappelle is about to drop something, like as soon as I seen it for the first time, I have no worries about it. I ain't even seen it yet, but I know I'm not. I don't have nothing to worry about with Dave Chappelle doing this. I'm 100% comfortable with whatever he's about to say.
100%.
Anybody else? I don't know if I have
First
that.
thing I watched when I woke up yesterday morning. I saw that notification. I said, "Yo,
I just don't see it."
Gotta turn the TV on.
He definitely gave me a different outlook on celebrity standings with situations like this, because beforehand, I'm gonna be 100% real. Before watching this Dave Chappelle special, I was, damn, why aren't so many celebrities or so many people who have high platforms doing this, that, and the third, or trying to do something or create something? He changed my mind on that, because at this point, what really do they really need to say at a time like this? Like, I mean, yes, there are certain things that can be done or said. Maybe, yeah, sure, you can put forth, you can donate, you can put money towards things, but what can they really say?
Nothing they could do, bro. Like when people stop putting value in celebrities, they will sleep better at night.
For sure.
I don't know. I think in that regard, it depends on who you hold to a standard.
Yeah.
So let's say LeBron never came out and said anything. We all would have been a little concerned as fans. And I'm gonna tell you this: it was never a question of where felt. LeBron stood. Exactly. Yeah. Like with Cole.
That's what I'm about to say.
Cole didn't have to say a word. Cole didn't say a word, but we knew how he felt. And then the video came out of him.
Kendrick hasn't said a word.
But then we saw
he's been out there protesting.
The picture he was out protesting, but we didn't. I think it's the people who are in question is when we really step back. I know Nasir, when it all first happened, he went on his rant about, hey, the white people who y'all say you allies, where you at? Mm-hmm. Those were the people who we questioned.
Yes,
it's not us. Mm-mm. I don't. Well, you could be black and not say a word. I'm not gonna question. I'm gonna assume.
Except those exceptions. Those people that fall into.
There are certain few exceptions out there.
Like they was killing Kanye before he came out, and if I found out.
But that's different. I never questioned it.
I would never question Kanye.
Never questioned it. Even with the
Donald Trump thing.
Even with his takes, I didn't question it.
We're all pretty Kanye biased though. Like
that's fair.
Let's be real. I know for myself, for D, and I know for E, we're E correct.
I don't think it's biased.
Correct. It's definitely biased.
All right, but wait, not to get too far down the rabbit hole. What's it called? Bring back. Anybody else got anything to say about the Dave Chappelle thing?
I do. I got one. Actually, Nas, go ahead, because you ain't really spoke on it. Go ahead.
I mean, y'all kind of were just saying everything that needed to be said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would say Ion said like most.
Yeah, he killed that.
Yeah,
South Carolina, stand up. Stand up.
Ion, the goddamn LeBron James of takes.
With your
I do want to address the backlash that has come about him not mentioning other people,
specifically black
women. And this is me. This is Darian. Everything he talked about was a personal experience. It had a personal connection specifically to police brutality and Dave Chappelle. I saw people saying, well, his mother's black, this, that, he got auntie,
he can't speak from that.
He spoke from a personal perspective. And I hate when people are criticizing things. He didn't have to say a word.
At all.
He didn't have to say anything. But he's used his platform to bring light to things I didn't know about the South Carolina, his great-grandfather and stuff like that, you know? Bringing light to situations based on personal experience, I don't think that draws or I don't think people should be critiquing that. I don't think people should be critiquing that. So I just wanted to address that.
I understood.
I got a question for you, D. Now, remember I stated that I don't see any other comedian being able to do what Dave Chappelle did. Who did you have in mind?
It's a good segue into our top five. If you don't mind me, go ahead and start.
Please do.
I'm going to start it.
Let me cap off what D was saying about the backlash that was coming from the Dave Chappelle thing. I want to cap it off by telling any of our black woman listeners that are listening to us.
We love y'all.
For sure. We love y'all.
Easy, guys.
My opinion on the whole thing, Dave Chappelle, it's not his responsibility to name everyone that's been affected by something
at all.
When we say Black Lives Matter, black women are included too.
That's a fact.
So don't ever feel like black women are not. We stand behind black women 100%. So when everything's going on, you're not forgotten. So
yeah.
I'm sorry. Not just black women. Black anything.
Anything.
If your skin color is black. If you are African American, if your skin color is black, I don't care what your creed, sexual orientation, anything, like I don't like it does not matter. If you are black, you fall into that category of your Black Life Matter. So don't ever try to like stem it off like do this life matter or do this life do this Black Lives Matter. Period. In discussion. Don't try to split it up. And Darian, you're a comedian.
Go ahead. Give us a start us off.
I want to know the answer to the question, Darian.
No specific order. So you want me to answer the question first?
Answer the question first. You can answer the question first and then lead into your top five. Your top five.
I think there's another one too, but I want to see if you think of what I'm thinking.
You can go next. Don't worry about it. We got it straight.
You're saying dead or alive, nobody could have done that?
No, well, I was saying alive. I said alive.
Wow, I said alive.
Okay.
Are you thinking Bernie Mac?
No, I think
easily Bernie.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's why I had to specify.
Man, I don't know.
I need something like that from Kevin Hart. Honestly,
I could see it. I could see it.
I can see Kevin, but that's not who I was going with. I was going with Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
I can accept Chris Rock.
False.
Yeah, but see, Chris Rock was rubbing elbows with Jeff Epstein and them. So we got to.
Can't. Chris,
I'm just saying.
I'm best believe I'm slashing it.
All right, hold on. So, D, who are you thinking about though?
I was thinking. I didn't know he clarified dead or alive.
Yeah. We was just talking alive.
I think Chappelle is the best to do it alive. I don't think Kevin Hart could have done it, but we wouldn't have received it the same. No, not at all.
What about that?
I don't think that's Kevin Hart's lane, though.
It's not his bag.
It's not, but he still could have done it.
Things before though.
Yeah, he has, and he still could have done it. We just wouldn't have received it the same.
It wouldn't have impacted the same.
No.
So yeah. All right, go ahead, D, with your.
But no, because we can go all day about this.
Yeah.
So top five. Top five.
Yeah.
No order.
Top five. No order.
No order.
Bernie Mac.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Dave Chappelle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Cat Williams.
Okay.
Mm.
And just for the sake
you gotta
of saving face,
I
gotta say face because y'all want to say, oh, he paved the way, Richard Pryor.
Yes, you gotta say Richard Pryor.
You
have to.
But
I'm not saying Richard.
But me, I'm not going to the Richard Pryor.
I'm not either.
But I'll put him in there.
None of us. Okay, but the thing is, all right. So to pause this, none of us are going to watch Richard Pryor right now. Nobody's going to sit down and watch. None of us here are going to go and watch Richard Pryor.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not going to.
No. Yeah, but the thing is, you can't leave him out of your five.
Comedy isn't comedy to now. Comedy isn't comedy without Richard Pryor.
Thank you. You can't. Yes,
we do know that. That's a fact.
You said Eddie Murphy.
What?
You said Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy is literally the spitting image of Richard Pryor.
I understand that, but
that's the spawn of Richard Pryor.
We don't know if somebody else would have came. So let me ask you a question.
But that's okay. Wait, no.
So if Lynn Bias doesn't die, is there a Michael Jordan?
Yes.
You can't speak to that. You can't speak to that.
But Michael is still Michael.
You don't know. No. Ask people who watch Lynn Bias. They'll tell you.
I get it. No, I get it.
So that's what I'm saying.
But
but technically, I wouldn't do the Lynn Bias Jordan. I would do Lynn Bias LeBron personally. Personally,
so that's my five. Anyway.
All right, that's your five?
That's my five. Go ahead, Nas.
Hold on. Who you got? So D, who is your most overrated?
Overrated and underrated.
That is a cop out. That is a very big cop out. Well, yes, he is very overrated, but continue.
Who's underrated?
I don't think there's an underrated. I don't think there's an underrated.
Carlos Miller is underrated.
Carlos Miller is definitely underrated.
Carlos Miller.
He don't have. He don't have. He don't have the grease in the game.
We talking about the greats?
He doesn't have a special yet. No, but
he don't have the grease in the game.
Okay, so
I went to his show.
What we're saying for underrated?
Oh, I've definitely gone to it.
So who's your favorite?
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac, easy.
Bernie Mac. Rest in peace.
So you don't have no for underrated? Who doesn't get enough?
Carlos Miller.
As they should.
Andrew Schultz is funny as hell to me.
Well, we get.
Oh, keep saying Carlos.
He has a whole underrated list.
Nah, it's because Carlos favored it. It's because he favored his tweet.
That's all it was. Carlos Miller, he's underrated. He's trying to get all
Artist has been real. I follow Carlos Miller for a long time.
He trying to get the Looney. He trying to get the Looney tree. He trying to get the Looney tree.
Don't know, and our listeners, he is pretty excited because he had a retweet from Carlos.
Hey, I did that for us.
I appreciate it. I did that for us. All right. So who's? All right, I'm gonna go next. Just to say mine. I had the same.
Richard Pryor, overrated.
Wow.
Hey, look. Hey, hold up.
I'm cutting him.
Where's my mute button? There it is.
There, thank you.
So I have the same list as him, except for instead of Cat Williams, it was either between Cat Williams and Kevin Hart, just because it was in between those two. But I'm going to say Cat Williams, so I have the same list as him.
Okay.
But overrated for me, I would say Kevin Hart, and then underrated for me.
You can leave.
Underrated for me. I was either gonna say Chris Tucker or
as a stand-up comedian.
Underrated, yes.
As a stand-up comedian.
I've watched it.
I've seen
it. But most people don't say Chris Tucker in that light. They say
Chris
Tucker as a movie theater. They say him as a movie actor.
He's in this list. He's in this list, so obviously he's not underrated.
Are we just talking stand-up?
Yeah, well, specifically right now, we're just talking stand-up right now.
I thought we were just talking comedian in general.
No, because it's too many.
Great question, because these would have been strictly off of
stand-up.
Because there are a lot of comedian actors that are out there that don't get a lot.
Richard Pryor is not top 5 if it's not stand-up. I'm not putting that in there.
Okay. Did you not see Harlem Nights?
If it's not Harlem Nights,
bro, he got like one movie. Relax.
But I'm just saying, as a comedian, I mean, we couldn't.
He has one movie.
Entire spectrum.
Oh, he was also in The Wiz, but it's fine.
Okay.
Hey, don't ever disrespect Richard Pryor.
All right, so are we talking? We're just talking stand up. We're just talking stand up.
Yeah, we'll stick with stand up.
Okay, all right. We're just sticking with stand up then. All right, so I take back what I said then.
Go ahead, Nazir.
Go ahead, Nazir.
Okay. I'm not putting Richard Pryor in my 5 either, just because.
Okay, so who's your 5?
Doesn't matter. Your list is irrelevant. So
mute down while he's talking.
Bernie, Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle. Y'all gonna kill me for this last one.
Y'all gonna
kill me for this last one.
It's your list.
You said what?
It's your list.
He's gonna say Martin.
As a stand-up comedian?
No, I'm not putting Martin.
Okay, all right.
So say the fucking
do your 5.
I'm not put Chris Tucker in it, bro.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
Next. Who's next?
You're not getting killed for that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Who's your overrated, underrated?
Overrated? I don't really have an overrated. I don't feel like no comedian.
I don't think there is an overrated.
But underrated, I'm definitely going to say.
If you had to say,
yes, there
one.
Underrated, I'm not.
No, we don't.
Yes, because no. Where everybody else did it. We ain't getting no cop outs here. No,
Underrated, I'm definitely going Mike Epps. I feel like Mike Epps is not appreciated as much as he's supposed to be. Mike
as
Epps
a stand-up?
He's funny.
As a stand-up?
He's funny.
You have not seen his last stand-up on Netflix.
That shit is hilarious.
I did.
That shit is hilarious.
Underrated.
So then that's underrated. I'll go with that. I like that one.
Mike
I'm gonna take yours. I'll go with Mike Epps too. I agree.
Thank you.
And then by far, and this is why I'm playing Kevin Hart in my 5, and this is why I have him as my favorite, just because
Kevin Hart's your favorite comedian all time.
Right now, yes. I'm about to go.
Wait, no. He said no. He said all time.
My favorite.
Is Kevin Hart your all-time favorite comedian? No, answer the question. Is Kevin Hart your all-time
God has been on Nazir's ass all day.
Is he your all-time favorite comedian? Yes or no?
He's my favorite comedian right now. He's my favorite.
All-time favorite.
You see how he's dancing around the question?
So who's your all-time favorite?
He's not my all-time fave. Because my all-time fave is not stand-up. I don't have an all-time fave stand-up comedian. I have an all-time
Who's your all-time favorite stand-up comedian?
You see why I'm frustrated?
I don't have one all-time favorite stand-up, bro.
If you had to pick one, that's what we're all here for. We all have to pick one.
Kevin Hart. I'm going with Kevin Hart.
Then just stand with it.
Anyway, this is why I say that though, bro. Because I just think of Kevin Hart's career as a whole, bro. Like from him to beginning, like honestly, in my opinion, when he was like having little cameos in Scary Movie, he was on Soul Plane. He wasn't really that funny in those movies to me. I feel like as his career went on,
Kevin Hart cameo in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
He made those movies.
I think
40-Year-Old Virgin was hilarious.
I think his growth.
All them cameos was funny as hell.
I'm not saying that he sucked or anything like that. I'm just saying, but his growth, like from then to now, is just like
that's what makes him your favorite.
He was then on top of like what he has done as far as comedians. You know what I'm saying? How many comedians for real were going like doing sold out, selling out theaters, doing world premiere comedy series.
All the four that
Dave Chappelle would have.
A lot of them they do specials. They do specials. They don't go in the movie theaters, bro.
Delirious, Raw.
They don't go to stand up. They don't do their stand ups in movie theaters, bro. They do specials.
Delirious and Raw were definitely in the movie theaters.
Don, have you gone yet?
No, I have not gone yet.
All right, Don, E, Ion, and
I don't need to say
right?
He talked too much already.
Ricky went.
Facts. We do.
I mean, facts. I mean, it is what it is. But
Go ahead,
I'm
hurry up.
gonna go ahead and spit my top five. Bernie, Eddie, K Hart, regardless, Richard Pryor, and Bernie, Eddie, Rich Pryor, K Hart, and Dave Chappelle. Those are my top five.
You was about to get.
No, that's why I had to count. Overrated. Chris Rock is definitely overrated as a comedian.
I thought you were gonna say Chris Tucker. I thought you were gonna say Chris Tucker.
Rock. No, Chris Rock is definitely overrated. Chris Rock's overrated. And underrated. I'm gonna go Ari Spears personally.
Bro, I was about to say
Ari Spears as a stand-up comedian is definitely underrated.
Shit. I know exactly.
As an impressionist,
is he really though? Without those impressions,
Ari Spears is still funny, bro.
That nigga is hilarious.
Mad TV, Ari Spears,
I miss Mad TV.
The Shaq comedy special.
That's the one that I'm talking about. Yes, that shit is hilarious.
Shaq comedy special.
The Shaq comedy special without Ari Spears does not do the same. Like, come on.
You know what's crazy? In my head, I'm like, damn, what is his name? What is his name? And as soon as you said it, that's exactly connected.
Bro, Ari Spears, hands down, underrated comedian.
Very underrated. All right, go ahead, E.
Respectable list. I don't care what nobody
else. It's a very respectable list.
It was. You almost got killed though.
Stop it. I was gonna say Dave, bro.
All right, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Bernie Mac, Cat Williams.
Okay, so you leave me off K Hart and Richard Pryor?
Honorable mention, cause it just.
No, ain't no honorable mentions. Ain't no honorable mentions. Hell no.
Wow.
I just connect more. I grew up watching.
Chris
Rock comedies a lot more than I did K Hart. K Hart is kind of new to me, so not new.
He did try to slide it in there. He tried to slide it in there.
I want to know. It was hard for me. Look, it was hard. It was hard for me to defend me. It was too many comedians. It was too many comedians.
Right. He definitely slid Chris Rock in
because he's not overrated. I support.
All right, who's your overrated?
I don't have overrated.
We know who is overrated.
No, you ain't copping that.
Who is your overrated? No,
who's your overrated?
I don't know who my overrated. I really don't know. I don't know.
Come on,
go ahead and say Richard Pryor. Say Richard Pryor. Go ahead.
Fucking Bill Cosby. I don't know.
Whoa, you're bugging. You're bugging. No way. No.
Whoa.
I didn't laugh at Bill Cosby.
Hey, this is going on. This is going on Instagram.
You tripping?
He did not say Bill Cosby.
I'm sorry.
That nigga said
I didn't laugh. I didn't really laugh at Bill Cosby jokes like that, bro. I'm sorry. I love the show. I did love the show. Love the show.
Hey, what's Brian
love
Lipscomb when you need him, bro?
I love the show.
All right, hold up. First of all. All right. That was funny. Hold on, wait. That was funny. But we talking stand-up comedians.
His stand-up was just not too funny. It was. I didn't connect that much. It wasn't funny to me.
We let him have it. That's fine.
All right, who underrated?
Underrated to me is Martin Lawrence in his stand-ups.
Yo, what you popping?
As a stand-up comedian?
Bro, you So Crazy was a funny stand-up. His early shit was hilarious. Before he
was better, but he was better as a he was better.
He made it to House Party. Those two stand-ups he had before he made it to movie stardom. Those shits was hilarious.
But he was better as the Def Jam host when he did.
He's still hungover from last night. Y'all gotta forgive him. He's still hungover.
You said Martin Lawrence was underrated?
Underrated,
yes, he did.
Yeah, I got Martin Lawrence in my top 5 for real.
All right, go ahead. You already did yours? Go ahead.
Dave Chappelle, Bernie Mac, Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, and Kevin Hart. Underrated artist, underrated comedian for me. Underrated with excuse me, Jesus Christ. What's happening here? Underrated for me would definitely be Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps is fucking hilarious. I don't think he gets enough credit in his movies, or does he get enough credit for his
his movie roles.
I think he gets more credit for his movie roles.
Shut up.
Go ahead. Overrated.
Overrated for me would definitely have to be Richard Pryor.
Yep. I'm there. I'm there. I'm there.
I'm glad you
not somebody. I'm not somebody who has not seen Richard Pryor comedy stand-up. I have listened to his records.
Exactly.
I have listened to his records, and I have also watched his stand-up. Richard Pryor is hilarious.
Yes.
But the title of Godfather.
Only because he was at the beginning.
Only because he was at the beginning. I'm sorry. Only because he was at the beginning. It's almost like, what's a good, now, let's see here. Come on.
I gave it to you earlier.
But the thing is, bro, it's like
them black and white football players.
Black and white football players. You almost have to put them in there.
All right. Go ahead, Reed. Knock it out for us. And we'll hop into our 10th episode celebration. Yay!
Hey, yo.
Never again.
Hey,
never again. Oh my
God.
Leave.
I can't mute myself, but I'm not.
Do that real quick.
Has to go.
As a matter of fact, delete that.
Don't ever say yay to me, nigga.
Huh?
Yeah.
Delete that right now.
Yeah, don't yay me in my ear. Never again.
Go ahead, Reed.
Go
ahead.
So, of course, no particular order. I got Richard Pryor. It's paying homage. Come on now. Richard Pryor is Bernie Mac, Dave Chappelle. I have Martin, and I have Eddie Murphy.
Okay. I like it.
Overrated. My overrated. This is me personally. Okay. And I'll give my reason why, but my overrated is Kevin Hart.
No!
Not cool, man.
I'm with you.
And the reason why, Nas, is because I found Kevin Hart funnier in his early come-ups. And you were talking about his early movies being Soul Plane and stuff like that. That's not his early movies to me. His early movies to me.
Paper Cup Boys.
Paper Soul. About Paper Soul, that's top 5.
Kevin Hart is a product of his stardom.
Yeah. And so with that, and then when, like D said, in 40-Year-Old Virgin, bro, his one scene might have been
that shit is hilarious.
Come on, man.
This your man?
He said,
It's your boy?
Go ahead.
And I'm gonna take it as disrespect.
Watch your mouth. And help me.
Underrated. Who's your underrated?
So I mean, Nas already has said it from the beginning, but I had Mike Epps. People don't understand the reason I think Mike Epps is underrated is because a lot of people don't respect his platform that he uses. He has his own lane. He's not his own lane, but he's one of the few left that will speak on topics that people are afraid to talk about. Like, it's not too many people that still will talk about like mentally challenged kids, even though that they know that shit's wrong. Overall favorite will be Dave Chappelle. That's just me. Like I said, the Dave Chappelle show was always
I can respect that.
That was my go-to when I came home from school, dog. The Dave Chappelle.
I'm gonna piss on you.
Yo.
He's done. You done.
All right.
Bro,
Next week's episode will not
weak,
feature
bro.
him. He will not be on next week's episode.
Bro, that shit was funny as fuck.
He's getting
Yes,
cut
it was
now.
funny, but come on now, read the room. Drew Brees.
We grew.
So this is episode. Hold on. No, this is episode 10. For real, this is episode 10. I'm gonna start it off. When we first brought it up, the first idea I had, it was on a Sunday. I woke up. I was like, yo, I really want to talk about music. So I tagged each one of y'all into a post. I was like, yo, let's talk about some fucking music.
Go before that, because the first conversation I ever had with Ty was on Twitter. Didn't know, bro.
It was under his.
Yeah, it was under your post.
For sure.
I commented on one of my tweets because I gave my list of top 5 black
actors. It was outrageous.
I'm still not switching up. My top 5 black actors were outrageous. What they are. I'm not going to speak on that.
You said top 5 black actors?
Yeah. That is how everything else sparked off.
But
yeah, he's just outrageous.
Are you
so, and then
Jamie Foxx in there, and Ty said, "So who's yours?" And then there we go.
Yeah. So after that, I followed them, and I started talking about music, and then I know Nasir's my cousin, so we talk about music all day. And I remember at the lunch tables and the dinner tables back at VMI, Darren used to talk about music all the time. It used to be Darian, Don, Haley. Ion wasn't there.
Steve Miller.
Steve, yeah, it was all of us. So I was like, yo, like this seems like a really good idea. And then E hopped in because me and E been following each other for a minute, but I've always seen him talk about music too. I was like, you know what, bro, let's just go ahead.
School together, so it was like,
yeah, exactly. So it was like, yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about music. So, what was the first thing I posted? It was what was the album that came out? It was on the Sunday. We used to talk about something. I can't remember exactly.
I can't remember I can't remember.
We talk about so much.
We talked about a lot of shit.
But the thing is, like, this collective group has only known each other for real for 2 months. But it feels like since forever, for real, because we've talked about so much. And I just want to say, man, like, we 10 episodes in, and I love y'all, man. For real, I love y'all. I enjoy it.
Fucking shit, man.
What, man? I enjoy it.
I really do thank God brought this group together for a reason.
For
like,
sure,
we all gel together like we've been brothers for a long time.
Yeah.
The collective. I'm glad I met Reek. I'm glad I met Don, D, Ion. I'm glad I met y'all because I really feel like I gained brothers out of this situation. So
for sure, man.
Y'all niggas so simple.
Dang, go on, man.
Come on, man.
You hit him getting off so.
Let me come in here. Let me come in here and throw some sauce. Hold on. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, D. What you got?
Go ahead, Ian. Go ahead.
Let me say something, man. I wasn't even supposed to be a part of this thing.
That was the funniest.
Oh yeah, this man came out late.
And he's in the middle. He's in the middle of the picture. He was the last edition. He's in the middle of our picture.
I'm pretty sure I came the day
the day we started.
We have posted.
I posted our first video.
The night of.
I posted some on my story, and Ion hit me up.
I didn't come. That's number one.
Oh my God.
Yo, somebody get this man.
But nah. My boy Don posted something on his story, and I just seen that it was like, here y'all go. They had already made the photo and everything.
Covering everything.
I was like, yo, y'all gonna leave me. It is what? But then Don was like, give me a second. I'm about to add you to the group. Add me to the group, and the rest is history, bro. This shit that's the best 11, 15 story I've ever seen in my life because I literally gained brothers out of it.
Because it for sure was at night.
That's awesome.
For sure. Anybody else?
You know, I don't want to sound conceited. But do you see how like I'm the end all be all with this?
No,
like
mute
goodness
him.
gracious,
No way.
Goodbye.
Ty
The podcast breaks up on episode 10.
Who's next?
Something I respond to.
Look at the group about to break up on episode 10.
Goodness gracious.
No. This dude, man. Go
nah,
ahead.
for real though. Like y'all.
Well, we see what the David Ruffin is of the group.
I'm not coming to see you, Otis.
I just want to say if we don't make it to 20, Don did it.
And I'm okay with that.
Go ahead, D. What you got?
Yeah, man, it's a blessing, man. Just having this outlet to be able to just talk. Even I told y'all from the beginning, even if we had one person listening, man, this was still fun. Haley calls you all my husbands. Because she says I'm constantly, yeah, I know, it's crazy. She said you always talking to the same dudes, but it's like y'all said, if you wouldn't have known, you'd have thought we'd have been friends for a long time.
For sure.
And that I love organic things. I love when things just happen on their own. Hey, yo, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you. And see, that one there, that he gonna be the reason. He gonna be the reason. But yeah, man, it's a blessing, man. I'm glad to have y'all. My son Don, you know, my stepson Nazir. That's my brother Ian. You know, Ty's like the cousin. I met him early or late in my
cadetship, yeah,
time in school, and then Ian Reed, you know, the new addition. But this is family here, man, and definitely enjoying this time, bro.
Cue the violins.
Me and Reed started bonding over these fitteds, man. This fitted game,
y'all are
crazy.
sick.
Yeah,
y'all got me into Naruto. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a blessing, man.
For sure. Anybody else want to say something right quick? You want to say something, Nasir? You know,
you bum.
I just want to say, I guess y'all niggas all right. Y'all cool.
I work at Target and I got a line in my head.
You know what I'm saying? We have some great conversation. You know, Ion got some good takes, you know. He be making my day with his takes. Y'all cool.
He be making your day.
That nigga shooting. He's shooting. I'm shooting live on the pod.
Why don't you?
Hold up now.
He asking you out.
I mean, y'all are trip.
He asking you out.
But yeah, no.
Hey, don't swipe either. Don't swipe to the next.
Please
don't. He get canceled after episode 10.
Dog, come on.
Oh man,
Jesus
but,
Lord.
Like I said, man, I love y'all boys, man, for real. I enjoyed this time. I can't wait. Hopefully, hopefully, see you at the beach today. Hopefully we all find some time to get together. I can't wait for us to start doing these live podcasts whenever it does happen. You know, but we are going to stick to Zoom for a little bit. This is working. This is the best outlet, I think.
If y'all want, even if y'all want live podcasts, for real. If y'all cool with us doing this, then
just let us know.
We just gonna rock. If y'all want to see us all together in person, looking at each other, as they're looking at Ion eyes with lust. So I mean, it don't matter.
What is wrong with y'all?
That man was asking to take him out for a date or something. Man. He was shooting his shot for something serious.
Episode.
All right. Well, but that wraps it up for us, man. I love y'all boys, for real.